us, radcast at theradnetwork.com. That's really the only way right now to interact with us, and we do love getting your emails. We'll answer as many of them as we can. Yes, we have a new phone number. Yes, it works. We're not taking calls today. We're not doing contests. We have a bunch of exciting other things coming. I promise. I'll use Jeff's word. So keep them coming. Speaking of promises, I did say when we started the show that in about an hour I'd have an update on Dawn, and we're close to a little past that update. So the show, the America's Radcast, will air every day live 7 to 10 a.m. And it will, for now, it's Kyle and me and Jeff who will interact as is needed. Like, Jeff's a lot more than just a tech guy. We have an interesting dynamic going on here other than the complete lack of estrogen. Jeff's married and early 40s. I'm a widower and mid 50s. And Kyle is what he is. So, so we have those perspectives, but that doesn't mean this is what the show is going to look or sound like in a month or a year from now. But obviously the void right now this morning, if you're listening, is Dawn, who I've worked with for 35 years, who was part of this show for almost 30 years, since 1998. And despite what I'm told you've heard on social media, yes, Dawn and her husband Gary and I, we still talk, we chat, we text, and we keep in touch. And there's a lot going on in everyone's lives that I'm obviously not going to share. She's no longer on the, not radio, but on the air. And so the basic update is this: when I lost my brain in June of 2025, and you'll hear a little bit about what led to that in the soapbox this morning. And I burned everything down. The worst part about it is the way I did it. The show going away was inevitable, as things turned out. And I knew that. But I really handled it like shit. And that had to do with a variety of things. Yes, I was stressed out about my dying wife and other things going on. But I was also, when Christina was home and healthy, I was drinking myself into oblivion for no other reason than to escape everything that was going on. And you make really dumb decisions when you do that. And I treated a lot of people like crap. People that trusted me. A lot of them were getting paychecks from me, but there was more than that. And I knew that. And it was an awful way to end things. It was awful for you, the audience. And about a month later-ish, Dawn and I met personally, in person, at our old Rad Studios. And she had already posted kind of like a goodbye to radio message on social media. But in that process, as she and I were working through things, and the main thing she cared about was, of course, because she's Dawn, how are you, Rob? How's Christina? What's going on? She expressed some more than frustration with me, and rightfully so. And she still carries some of that today, and that's completely understandable. But she did say in August of last year, she had alluded to, because I was already telling her then, like I said, Christina and I were working on my comeback. I was already telling her, I'm going to come back. I just don't know when or how or what it's going to look like. And she said, I think I might want to come on at least and maybe say goodbye. Because the thing about it is, in February, like a year ago, February of 2025, I told Christina then that I could tell Dawn was getting done with radio. Again, you work with somebody that long as your partner, as one of your closest friends, you can see it. It was just getting more and more difficult, if you will, for her to do the show. Not getting up or anything like that, but like actually do the joy of it, I think, and this is me speaking, not her. I could just tell it was becoming more and more of a challenge. And in August, when she and I met, she said, I've kind of been on my way out anyways. It's all going to work out for the best. But I did reach out to her a couple weeks ago and said, look, you had said this, but it was a long time ago. We're coming back on Monday, March 16th. Do you have any interest? And she said, I'm done with broadcasting. I don't need to do it anymore. She's doing her baking thing from home, baking cookies up the wazoo and delivering them and trying to work through all of the California regulations and such. And she sounds and seems so happy. Her and Gary have been at the house more than a few times, and we have great conversations. but she's just done with this part of her life, and the reasoning behind it as her friend brings me nothing but joy. And one of the things that she mentioned when we were talking a couple weeks ago was that um, more than ever, she has dove into, I don't know what the right word is, her faith. She is more than you can imagine, which, if you were listening over the last couple of years, is hard to believe. She is so far into Jesus and Christianity. And I think it's beautiful for her. Doesn't work for everybody. She sends me scripture every day, um, which I appreciate. And I always take time when I get it to spend with it, because if she cares that much to send it to me, I'm going to give it the respect it deserves. But the reason I bring that up is the same reason she did. She was finding it more and more impossible to do the show that we do. And it wasn't just Jesus stuff, but and I say Jesus stuff respectfully and playfully as if she were here. Um, when we start talking about sex, porn, those kind of things. But it was also, and she even said this on the air, you'll remember, last summer, she was starting to say, like when we would do food news, she would say, I really don't want to ruin everyone's fun, but I'm having a really hard time talking about these ultra processed foods. She was big into the Maha thing. And it was just hard for her to do it. It was okay, my words. It was betraying who she had evolved into. So I I bear no ill will towards Dawn. I love her to death. I'm not aware of any ill will she has towards me other than, you really screwed me there after 30 years of us working together. You could have done better, which she's absolutely right on. I don't know if she'll ever decide to make an appearance or come on. I don't think she will, but don't wait for it. It's but she goes with she goes voluntarily and completely with my blessing. I miss having her here. There's so many stories that I have lined up where I go, it would be great to hear Dawn interact and interject on this. Like I mentioned, Yellowstone has all these sequels and spin-offs. Well, she was a huge Yellowstone fan. I don't know that show from anything. And just imagining what she might interact and interject with that. But she's not going to be part of the show, and that's okay. And I actually think it's quite beautiful. We did get an email on that note as well from Radcast at theradnetwork.com it's from a Tyler.